Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to the channel. And happy 4th of July. Of course, it's the 5th here, I think, maybe. Anyway, hope you're having a great day. Oh, what's going on here? Not a great deal. Getting prepared for this coming week. Um, Tomorrow we got to do our routine thing, our monthly deal. Uh, that's when we go do our banking and our monthly grocery shopping. Then the following day, if I don't get to make a video while I'm there, we will be in Dalmageddon. What are we going to Dalmageddon for? Well, it's a necessary trip. It's 5 years have finally rolled off, and my 13A I card, permanent resident, has to be renewed. And so, here we go. We got great. Grace has got everything together. Excuse me, allergies. Uh, and it should be fairly smooth, or I know. It always has been in the past. That's not the first time I've renewed, so I don't think there's any major changes. It's just a matter you have to process a couple months early, and hopefully we can arrange for a delivery when it arrives back, the new card, without having to go back to Dom and get it. Not the end of the world if we do, but it's okay. That's another thing about being here in the Philippines. Little things like that seems a little bit inconvenient. But the only thing I can say is be patient. Just go with the flow. So, some things just don't make sense. You would think immigration would be immigration, regardless which office you go to, but it's not always holds true. Uh, it's just like getting my stamp in my old passport transferred into my new passport, which is not new anymore. And almost time to renew it again. That's unreal, isn't it? I think I got almost 3 years left before I have to renew. But I did the transfer because I think that's one of the changes, which I will update you when we actually get it processed, if that's true or not. But we've got it done, so we are. We'll see. Also, this trip that I'm looking forward to Nomagati is rather exciting. Uh, One of our friends from the States, him and his wife, are back in the Philippines for their little visit, and we plan to meet up with them and hopefully have dinner with them if everything goes well. Be nice to see them again. I think they're going to be here for a few weeks, hopefully, and they might even drop by where we live. They did last time we was in, and which is quite nice. They're fantastic people. So I'm looking forward to that, uh, and also their future planning is to actually to live here. I think within the next, I think I heard him say that maybe next year. We just have to wait and see. I wish him the best of luck. I know it was a big move for me. You know, I was. It was a time of my life I made a decision that was scary because I did this alone. Ain't nobody to come with me. I've never been outside the country. I just, some people would have said it was a crazy thing to do. Well, it was. I don't recommend anybody doing the way I did it. But I did do a lot of research before I did make that move. So it wasn't totally in the dark. But, you know, I spent 7 years researching everything I could think of. Still didn't prepare me for it. Until you've been here, ain't nothing can prepare you. But I remember it was tough. My two kids took me to the airport, and that making that step away from them was hard. And that was almost 17 years ago. But making that move, I'll just be honest with you, it saved my life. Taking that step forward and actually trusting someone I've never met in person, and it worked out. Would I recommend that for anyone else? Not really. Why? Because everybody's different. Not everybody can adapt to the culture of the Philippines and their way things are actually done here. No, they do speak English, but it's not. Well, I don't know how to explain it. They have a difficulty of understanding when we get slang like me. Uh, it's not something that they're accustomed to doing. Uh, but overall, I mean, it's overall. I'm not saying anything negative. They know English fairly well. Like Grace, of course, Grace doesn't have an excuse. She's been around me, so she's gotten used to it. She's multiple language also. So, it's like what Virgil. Uh, and a lot of things have changed since I've been here. One thing, the cost of living is not the same. If I was had the same income I had when I first come here, I don't know, I had to figure out a way to go back. So you basically have to go into a shock therapy on budget restraints. You would have to limit everything you do. If you, for example, if you're making around $1,000 a month, you can manage it here, but you're not going to live any kind of a lifestyle. Uh, It'll be a little better than the locals, yeah, but you are going to be very, very limited. You have to pay attention to what you do and on your daily expenses. It can get out of hand quickly. Also, especially if you're new here, the confusion between the dollar and the peso and the exchange rate, uh, that's one of the things you have to adapt to, which is not really that hard if you just focus on it. Of course, I've been around a few that never did, never does, still don't. They've been here a long time. They still relate back to the good old dollar. Until you understand the peso, it's hard. It really is. Uh, Staying on top of your immigration, that's another step that you got to maintain if you want to stay here legally. You know, got a lot of different ways you can stay here legally. Uh, the most common thing for most foreigners is the tourist visa. You can keep renewing up to 3 years. Of course, you know you'll have your I card and so forth, but you'll have to leave the country every 36 months. And that could be expensive. And if you don't have a reasonable income that you can save, put funds back for that move once every 3 years, you may have a problem. Then there is like with me, 13A, which is a marriage visa. Well, not everybody gets married, but I'm just relating to that. Now, that process has changed a little bit since I've been there. It's a little more strict. There's a few more guidelines, but not impossible. I mean, it's just a matter of protecting their own, and I understand it. Then you got the retirement visas. Uh, Depends if you're military, retired military, whatever. That is the most affordable one. And then you got the other one. I can't remember exactly what they call it, because I don't keep up with it because it doesn't relate to me. So it's hard for me to stay on top of something that I don't experience. Anyway, that's some of the things you will face. Of course, once here and you get kind of situated, I don't recommend anybody taking up a permanent spot for at least 3 years. Leave your door open to move. Why is that? Well, you're going to find out that some places are just might not be suitable for you. Some people don't like to hear roosters. Some people don't like to hear karaoke. Noise pollution here in the Philippines can be a problem. Believe me, I know. Even if you're living in a gated community, it still can be a problem. I remember my gated community experience when I lived in Cebu, and it was tough. The housing was nice, and the neighbors were nice, but the particular subdivision I was in at that time, the free-running dogs was a problem. And then the neighbors that had dogs was a problem. I forgot how many was within 50, 75 feet of me, but it was a serious problem. There was no quietness. It was it was difficult. And we finally made the move from and that's how we ended up in Negros. I'm not saying it was a bad situation, but the noise of not having a few moments of quietness, uh, it really was difficult. Everybody needs a few moments, and you can relate to that. 24/7, it soon gets to be very irritable. And even with my calm nature, it made it a struggle. Uh, so that's why I recommend if you're going to come here, leave the door open until you find a place that suits your needs, your wants, your conveniences. Not everybody can live my lifestyle. There's absolutely no life uh, limelight, as they call it, in the nightlife here where I live. It's zero. But it's not totally inconvenient. I'm 30 minutes away from a small town, which has all the banking needs I need, and food sources, groceries, and so forth. Then within a few minutes, the local market for vegetables, very convenient and very affordable. Beaches, I'm within 15, 20 minutes of beaches. Mountains, 15, 20 minutes away. Well, actually, I can see them, but for driving there, uh, that's what I'm trying to relate to. Uh, and as you can see, as you can hear, rather, not see, pretty peaceful here most of the time. Now, we do have that one time a year occasion, but I've gotten used to it over the years. I actually enjoy it uh, because it allows me to do something that I do around Christmas too, uh, but on a smaller scale. Uh, we get to share food to our local neighbors, and I get to see those smiles, and I get to see the kids, everybody being entertained. I love that. Anyway, guys, I guess I'm getting bored. I just one of those moods for this morning that just want to say a few words. And I really appreciate each and every one of you out there, really do. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful day. Enjoy your time and enjoy life. And if you're out and about, don't forget to smile. And the main thing is live long and prosper.